Well, good morning, good afternoon. This is Scott with ReadySquirrel.com. Today's video is going to be creating a dog food from long-term survival food that you already have in your long-term stores for your family, for humans to eat. This is not a dog food that I would put in place of bagged foods or canned food or freeze-dried food that you're using for 72-hour emergency kits or shorter emergencies. This food is more like a base that you can create from stuff you already have in your pantry that has like 10, 15, 20, 25 year storage life. And you can feed your dogs enough to keep them going, and then you can actually add in found things as you go along. So let's get right down to the recipe, and I'll talk about it a little bit more as we move forward. What went in here? 3 cups of dried flour, 3 cups of oats, rolled oats, or cooked white rice you can use. I use rolled oats. 1 cup of powdered milk, 8 tablespoons of powdered eggs, 1/4 cup of olive oil, and 2.5 cups of water. 3 cups of flour. You might be thinking, oh, flour doesn't have a long shelf life. No, it doesn't, but white wheat does. So in this scenario, you would actually be milling your wheat, which has a 30-year shelf life, for the 3 cups of flour. Rolled oats, if properly stored, have a 30-year shelf life. White rice has a 30-year shelf life if properly stored. More than likely, in the real scenario, I would be using white rice, not rolled oats, because I have more of them. 1 cup of powdered milk. I used whole milk here. It doesn't have the longest shelf life, not as long as non-fat milk. Or non-fat powdered dry milk, but you're going to have to make that determination. I guess it's going to depend on what you have. You want that fat in there if you can get it. That's my point. But then again, you also want that 30-year shelf life. 8 tablespoons of powdered eggs. Again, 30-year shelf life if properly stored. It has a 1/4 cup of olive oil, which... Olive oil has a 2-year shelf life. I can't think of something else other than something somebody mentioned on ReadySquirrel.com, or actually no, on the YouTube channel Ready Squirrel. Canning lard. You can freeze lard. I can see freezing lard working in certain situations, but if it's a true SHTF situation, you may not have power, so you're going to have to deal with that. What's my point? You need the olive oil. You need the oil in there, but olive oil doesn't have the greatest shelf life, so you might want to consider some kind of a substitute. And then this also has 2.5 cups of water in it. So let me go down that real quick. In this mixture is 3 cups of flour, 3 cups of oats, rolled oats, 1 cup of powdered milk, 8 tablespoons of powdered eggs, 1/4 cup of olive oil, and 2.5 cups of water. This food is a base. This is a base for an SHTF situation. So you could use this to add foraged items, things you come across. You catch some bass in a pond, you eat the meat, you take some of the bones, you boil them down, you maybe render some of the fats out of the skin, that goes in the food, or you drizzle it on top. You're pulling carrots out of the garden, maybe you boil them until they're al dente or a little bit soft, you mash them up, you mix them in with the dry kibble. This is going to be baked, and we'll show you that, and then it's going to be crushed up, and it's going to be kind of like a kibble. This isn't enough nutrient-wise, just like most staples aren't enough. Even for humans, we have to supplement with some other stuff. Okay, next step. So we've mixed the dry ingredients, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grease the pan. So let's get ready. This is and this article is going to be, there's going to be a link on this article. Eventually, the article's not finished yet, but there will be a link on this article that goes over to ReadySquirrel.com, so you can actually see this recipe in the written form, and the instructions also will be there. But what we've done to this point is we've combined the ingredients, wet and dry. We mixed them into a dough that's soft enough to be spreadable. And now we're going to spread the mixture into a greased 9x13 baking sheet. And you want the baking sheet to have sides because this is going to rise a little bit. For expediency, I'm going to use pan. in the real situation, you can use lard or olive oil or whatever fat that you're using. Okay, so next step. Just like you're baking a cake. Mix your batch of ingredients in there. Try not to waste any of it. I'm really curious if my dogs will eat this. I've got two big dogs that aren't very finicky, but they're not going to be familiar with this at all, so I don't know. It's going to be kind of a bust if they won't eat it. I'm pretty sure if they were starving, they'd eat it, which is something to consider. Looks like I got a little bit of flour in there I didn't mix in. Okay, so now just spread it out. Try to get it even so it bakes evenly. I'm kind of bummed out that I took a picture of me putting the ingredients in the bowl instead of turning the video on. But I don't really have a great setup. I'm actually using my iPhone on a tripod, so it's kind of hard. I have to like bend down and say, hey, what's going on? So I did this whole spiel, thought I was pretty cool, and then it turned out that the camera wasn't even rolling. So I hope I haven't left out any pertinent information. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Okay, so we have put our dry and wet ingredients mixed. We've put them into a 9x13 pan, baking sheet with side. There we go. 40 minutes. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Okay, I actually let this stuff sit overnight, and I really baked the heck out of it. It was actually a pretty good experiment. The stuff is pretty dry. I ate a piece of it, and I actually gave a piece to my larger dog, and he gobbled it up. So it must be appealing to a dog. I think the next step is to crunch this stuff up in a Ziploc bag, get it kind of more kibble-like. All right, let's taste test this. Ajax, you want to sit on a piece? You a good boy? Let's see if he ate a piece yesterday, but let's just, you guys probably want to see him actually eat it. We have food issues around here with the little dog and the big dog. She's the boss, grumpy, old, barky, snarky, bitey. He ate this yesterday, but he's kind of, I think he's freaking out a little bit because she's right here and she'll snap at him. Let's give him another piece to make sure. I don't know. She may not eat it. Oh, she ate it. Jax, sit. Good boy. Yeah, he's going to walk off and eat it. The other dog, Ajax is one of two dogs that are rescues. He's pretty cool, but he's a little bit weird. He's not real good with other dogs or cats that aren't part of the family. And the other dog is still terrified of me. We've had him for 8 years. Never done anything, never yelled at him. Just for some reason, he just doesn't like some males, and I happen to be one of them. And so we got a little squeaky Bichon Frise that thinks she's boss. She eats it. And we've got a pound mixed puppy right there, and they're both looking for more. So if you're wondering if they'll eat this food, this homemade prepper or survival dog food, they'll eat it. So that's what you're going to get from the recipe. I think these would actually also make good Scooby snacks. You know, if you didn't want to do it for like their full meal, it could be something that you would supplement with. And they're liking the food because they're still hanging out, waiting for some crumbs out of the bag. So I would say that this is a plus. This is a hit. This dog food is doable. Hey, just a quick correction. This seems to be kind of my my signature event doing corrections. I originally had in the directions preheat the oven to 350 degrees and cook for 40 minutes. No way. Think of this, making this dog food, as making hardtack. I preheated the oven to 350 degrees and I cooked it for an hour and 50 minutes or 110 minutes. And it probably could have been cooked a little bit more if you want the truly hard tackiness. It's kind of soft like an overcooked bread inside, but not quite like crunchy. So if you're going for the crunchy, you're going to have to experiment. I just want to let you know, it takes a long time to cook. At first I thought there was something wrong with my oven, and then my wife's like, well, we cook a lot of frozen pizzas on Friday night. Cold beer and frozen pizzas is kind of the meal, because then we don't really have to do dishes. So I know my oven works. So just to reiterate, an hour and 50 minutes in a preheated oven at 350. All right, guys, thanks. I'll see you next time.